Now, I thought this would be a good idea for an FPL video. The best bargains, cheap players who I still think are going to score really well. The first player I wanted to talk about, and it's certainly not the first time I've mentioned him in my pre-season FPL content, but I think Strand Larsen at 6.5 million is going to prove to be really good value this season. I mean, when you look at those fixtures to start, they're not the absolute best, but I think he could do quite well in those opening five. And with no Cunha, they've just signed, is his name Arias, the Colombian attacking midfielder. I just think this guy's going to be, well, he sort of was last season, but he will be this season, Wolves' first choice, number 9. He played 35 games last year, scored 14 goals, got 4 assists. He's still getting better in breaking himself into the Premier League, I would say. So I'd imagine this season, you'd predict him to do a little bit better than he did last year. 6.5 million for a striker that, let's be honest, is going to play every game he's fit for Wolves, unless his form absolutely drops off a cliff or he gets injured. And he's probably, I think, going to take penalties as well. So I think he could prove to be really, really good value. And he just ticks all the boxes of an FPL asset that I like. I like players that just play every game. You don't really want to be picking players that are a minute's risk. I don't think Strand Larsen is. And he takes penalties. So even if he doesn't have a good game, even if Wolves don't necessarily have a good game, all you need is a foul in the opponent's penalty area for him to have a chance of scoring. So yeah, I really like him as an option. You also look at the other 6.5 million forwards in the game, namely probably Danny Welbeck is the other one I'd consider, who I think probably for the start of the season's pretty good. But the thing is with Welbeck, I think he's quite injury prone. I'm pretty sure Brighton have a number of players now to play in those positions. So he's not necessarily absolutely nailed on, whereas I think Strand Larsen is. 6.5 million for the kind of player he is, I think he's going to prove to be really good value. Now, I just wanted to quickly say that all of the stats and all of the data you're seeing in this video is provided by Fantasy Football Hub. You can sign up to Fantasy Football Hub using my link in the description below. I get you 50% off your sign up price. And if you don't win your mini league, you get your money back. So to see all of the stats like this, get your team rated by AI, see all of the players' expected points data for the season, check out Fantasy Football Hub and sign up using the link below. Okay, the next player I wanted to talk about is Wan-Bissaka. Now, I look at the season he had last year at West Ham, and I think he was much improved on what we saw with him at Man United, particularly from an attacking point of view. Scored 2 goals and got 6 assists last season. So that's 8 attacking returns from 36 appearances, which is a heck of a lot better than he was doing at Man United. And I think opening fixtures for West Ham are, well, the Sunderland one at least is pretty good. And I think you're going to pick him with a defensive rotation, right? You're going to pick him alongside, well, maybe the next player I'm going to talk about, but other 4.5 million defenders. And I look at the way FPL have priced the game this season, right? There's not a whole lot of bargains. This video, I think, will be fairly short. And I wouldn't say 4.5 million for Wan-Bissaka is an absolute bargain. But I just look at, the other 4.5 million defenders in the game, and I think he's probably going to be one of the standouts. And one thing I think he's going to do really well is defensive contribution points. I think West Ham, they're not looking amazing in pre-season, I will say, which probably doesn't bode well for his clean sheets, and certainly didn't appear that way last season. But I think attacking returns plus defensive contributions, he could do pretty well. And at 4.5 million, not really seeing many defenders of better value. One of the defenders that I am seeing of equal or better value is De Kerper of Brighton. He's just signed from Club Brugge. I've had a few Club Brugge fans in the comments tell me how good of a player he is and just how attacking he is. I've tried to pull up some of the stats I could find from him last season. There's not a whole lot of data online about the Belgian league, actually. And to be honest, last season probably wasn't one of his most prolific seasons either. I think across his short career so far, I think he's still quite young. He averages an attack and return every sort of 2 or 3 games. It's absolutely ridiculous for a left back. And I think there's a reason that Brighton have picked him, right? There's a reason they bought him because of the attacking upside that he provides, right? They've got rid of Estupiñán. He's gone to AC Milan. So it's pretty clear to me this guy is the first choice left back for Brighton, and he's 4.5 million. And you look last season, right? He may have only got 6 goals plus assists, but when you look at his expected data, 2.7 expected goals and 9.1 expected assists. Usually, players massively overperform their expected assist data, right? You look at all of the player previously. Who did we look at previously? Wan-Bissaka. He hasn't got attacking stats, bear with. Strand Larsen, right? 1 expected assist and he actually got 4 assists, right? Players always outperform that stat. And De Kerper, underperformed it last year. So he puts up any of that kind of numbers in the Premier League. could almost be double-digit assists, right? Yeah, I really like the look of him as an option, and I think he's great value at 4.5 million. Now, I'm not going to say that Enzo Lefebvre is, going to absolutely break the game or anything. And when you look at his stats in the Championship last season, they weren't amazing. 1 goal and 1 assist from 15 appearances, right? But this guy, I think, is one of Sunderland's best players. He's going to be nailed on to start. They spent a lot of money on him. And this might sound really weird to say, and feel free to totally, discredit and disagree with me in the comments if you don't agree. But there are some players, right? I've got a season ticket at Bristol City, right? I watch Championship football on the regular. And there are some players I think that would do better in the Premier League than they will do in the Championship. To some that might sound mad, but to me, I think Enzo Lefebvre could be one of those players. He's going to take set pieces for Sunderland. There's a chance, I think a good chance that he could be on penalties as well. And I just look at the demographic of midfielders, trying to get my words out. There are no real 4.5 million midfielders in the game that are going to play. And I think when you look one price point above at 5 million, this guy is probably one of the standouts. And I just think if you're playing maybe a bench boost in Game Week 1, right, Wolves away is not too bad of a fixture. It could be on penalties for Sunderland. He's going to take set pieces. Just a nice, cheap midfield bench option. I'm not going to say he's going to break the game, but I think he could prove to be good value at 5 million. This one, I'm not necessarily sure that Krupi Jr. is going to play for Bournemouth. Obviously, they've got Evanilson as their first choice centre-forward at the moment. But this guy in League 2 in France, I think he played for Lorient, was it, last season? These are the stats he put up. 22 goals from 30 appearances, and he scored over 1 goal per 90 minutes in the French second division. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to translate to 1 goal every game in the Premier League, but the numbers look really good, and I saw some articles back last year where he was linked to the likes of Real Madrid. So this guy is very highly regarded as a young talent, and we know how good Bournemouth are at picking up young players, right? What they've done with Semenyo, Housen, who's gone to Real Madrid, likes of Zabarnyi. They're really good at recruiting young players, and I think this guy could be something special. Whether this season in the Premier League is going to be that year, and also whether he could potentially get loaned out, I'm guessing. But if there's ever a time where Evanilson drops off form, gets suspended, injured, something like that, this guy could come in and be really good value. And also, just in general, I look at all of the other 4.5 million midfielders in the game, and I don't see anyone better than this guy. We're into some really cheap assets now, but I think if we're talking about bargains, these are the kind of players that you're going to want to pick. There's probably a spot, I would say, in most people's drafts for a 4 million defender. And I think I've looked at all the 4 million defenders in the game, and I think this guy, Maxime Steve of Burnley, is probably going to be the best one. Doesn't offer really anything from an attacking perspective. He played in all 46 games in the Championship for Burnley last season. He scored just 1 goal. I'm sure most of you are aware, but Burnley had a record-breaking season in the Championship last season for their defence. They conceded just 16 goals in the 46 games they had and kept 30 clean sheets, right? Ridiculous. And I think Scott Parker is not going to change the way that he plays football for Burnley in the Premier League this season, right? They're not just going to go from a defensive team to an all-out attacking team, right? These are going to be a team that sit back, defend, soak up pressure, and try and grind out results. That would be my view of how they play in the Premier League this season. And I think you think about that probably means this guy is going to get quite a lot of defensive contributions. And you'd imagine pick up the odd clean sheet here or there. And for a 4 million defender, someone who's going to get those regular 2 points bonuses, concede, I think they'll not get thrashed in the Premier League this season. I don't think you're going to see Burnley losing 4 or 5-0. But they're obviously not going to win a lot of games. But I think he's going to pick up the defensive contribution points. They're going to get the odd clean sheet here or there, and that probably, for me, makes him the best 4 million defender you can go for. There is also a 4 million goalkeeper. So Darlow, unfortunately, he was in my team and in lots of drafts that I've spoken about so far, but he looks to have been displaced by a keeper that Leeds have picked from Lyon. So that leaves a bit of a hole in terms of who might be the best 4 million goalkeeper. So I've moved off Darlow and I'm looking at Kinski now. Reason being, as I don't think Thomas Frank has absolutely nailed down who his number one is. It could be Vicario, it could be Kinski. And if it is Kinski, you're looking at a potential keeper, 4 million keeper that starts for Spurs. I mean, you got his numbers there under Ange last season. They were amazing, but Spurs were obviously a bit rubbish last season as well. I still think it's open season in terms of who's going to be the starting keeper at Spurs. And if it's Kinski at 4 million, well, he's going to be a bargain, isn't he? And the same applies to Vuskovic as well. Signed, I believe, this summer. Looks to be a young talent with a lot of potential. And I think Thomas Frank really rates him. And also, I think he's been playing quite a lot in pre-season. I don't really have any stats for him. But again, similar to Kinski, all you need to really know is you're looking at a potential 4 million defender that could be playing for Spurs. And I think comparing him to Steve, he's probably going to keep some more clean sheets if he plays regularly for Spurs than Steve does. But again, I think his minutes are probably a bit more risky, right? They got Van der Ven, Romero. They're pretty, solid defenders and probably first choice. But if any of those get injured, there's a chance that this guy could step in. Or if Spurs play a back three, for example, maybe he could be in the team quite regularly. So yeah, a couple of 4 million players from Spurs. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that, found it useful. If you did, let me know in the comments who your favourite bargains are from this video. And also, if there aren't any, the players that I haven't mentioned that you think are good prices and bargains as well, please let me know in the comments. Leave a like rating on the video, and of course, subscribe to the Goal to Goal channel. Should be just here on your screen. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in my next video.